day. This is Rochelle Ilom, and today I will going to discuss the 7 overview of literature. But this overview is 12, but my assigned topic is only the 7 overview of literature. Now, before I share with you what is the first overview of literature, I have a question first. Okay, what is the book that stated the Word of God? Anyone? That is a Bible. Now, the Bible, it is the full of Word of God. Now, the Bible is one of the overview of literature because the Bible, it is a poetic style that composed of poetry, laws, literature, and prophecy. Now, what is the cultural impact of the Bible in the literature? This is to, beyond all the religion in the whole world, the Bible is shaped the Western law, literature, and also the ethics. Now, the Bible, its stories, creations, Exodus, Psalms became an archetype in art and literature. Now, the Bible is influencing the writers like Millstones and Dostoevsky and became and continue to guide the moral debates. That's why the Bible also the one of the overview of literature, because this is a poetic style composed of narratives, poetry, laws, literature, and prophecy. Always remember the first literature, the overview of literature is the Bible. Now the second one, this is the Quran, the book of Islamic, which is to reveal the Prophet Muhammad. This is the same in the Bible and the Quran, that is the same. It is all about the Word of God also, but it's not the God of the Islam is they called Muhammad. And now the Quran, that is a Islamic, the holy book of Islam revealed to Prophet Muhammad. And what is the cultural impact of Quran? The cultural impact of Quran, this is a poetic style also influenced by Arabic and calligraphy. Now, it's unified Islamic societies under the shared values of laws, charity, and devotion. Its recitations, traditions, shape music and oral traditions beyond the Middle East and all the Western. Now, always remember that the Quran and the Bible, it's still the same, but the God of there is different name. That is they called Muhammad, and the Bible which is we call it God. And the third one, we have the Iliad and the Odyssey. I know all of us knows this story because it's discussed last meeting. Now, the Iliad and the Odyssey, this is a Homer's epics stories, which is narrating the Trojan War and the Odyssey's journeys home. And now, what is the cultural impact of this two story? That is the third overview literature. The first one we have the Bible, the second one the Quran, and the third one we have the Iliad and the Odyssey. This is the two Homer's epics narrating Trojan War and also Odyssey's journeys home. The cultural impact of these two stories is to shape the Western concepts like heroism, faith, and honor. The Iliad stories influenced by military ideal, while the Odyssey, that is to shape adventure narrative. The two stories, the Iliad and the Odyssey, which is their themes of human struggles and divine intervention, remains central in Western storytelling. Now we have the fourth overview of literature, which is the Mahabharata. The story is all about the two royal cousins fight for one kingdom, which is the kingdom named Hastinapuras, and the righteous cousin, which is the Pandavas, and the greedy cousin, which is the Kauravas, which is these two royal cousins fight for one kingdom, which is kanang kingdom that is a powerful kingdom, and the two kwan ba diba in our traditions or culture dili gani okay pag magfight tag mga inana, pero mura naman siya gani na-apply sa atoa. Muna silang go-fight for sila sa inana. So, ilahang gikuan, ilahang duty, what is right and wrong, ilahang gibuhatan og actions para makuan. Now, the stories is all about the longest India's epic philosophy blending with myth and histories. Now, the cultural impact of Mahabharata is to introduce in Hindus concepts of karma and dharma. Now, when we say karma, that is an action, and the karma that is an action, and the dharma that is a duty. And now the Bhagavad part of Mahabharata became a spiritual guide in worldwide. That's why the Mahabharata stories influence the India's theme of music, dancing, and cultural and also political thought, embedding the importance of sacrifices and justice. Now we the fifth literature overview, which is the Canterbury Tales, which is the stories written by Geoffrey Chaucer's. This is a story collections told by pilgrims. Now these stories is all about competition, which is kung kinsa tong makahatag og the host, which is he told to the diversity of pilgrims that who can win the storytelling will get a free meal. That's why a lot of diverse of pilgrims try to fight for having a free meal para lang makakuha sila og kanang kay kuan sa una man God, which is the stories, which is ang pagkaon sa ilaha nga ba ganing biliklon kayo. That's why na isa ka tawo nga ning host ana kung kinsa tong pinakatsada nga mo story about og mga inana kita mo'y tagaan og free nga pagkaon. Now this is the cultural impact of this is to elevate vernacular English. That's why they making literature became accessible by Latin or beyond the Latin. Now the story is all about it's the cultures of medieval societies, diversity from knight to peasant, and critic culture and state and church. And this is to shape satire and narrative in later framing literature. And now we have we have the sixth overview, the Uncle Tom's Cabin. Now the story is written by Harriet Beecher Stowe, and this is a novel about anti-slavery. Now the cultural impact of this is to spark debates on slavery in US and influencing abolitionist movements, which is the social and political effort during 19th and 18th century. Now this movements is to end the slavery and all the people have an equal treatment. And politics before this will happened in the before the Civil War. Now Abraham Lincoln reportedly called Stowe, this is the meaning of Stowe, the little lady who started the big war. Now the story, which is the story, if you watch these novels, by the way, if you watch these novels, this is a very, very nice novels, which is it shows that the power of the literature is to drive a social change. And now we have the last seventh Seventh overview of literature, which is the 1001 Night. This story is all about King Shahar, which is nangasawa siya atong una, so kay unfaithful man iyang asawa, maong ihanggi patay. So iyang paglantaw na sa tanan nga mga bayi, iyang paglantaw binuangan ra siya, maorat tanan ang tanang babayi. That's why one day he realized na ganahan siya og mangasawag usog. That's why iyang gipangasawa si Scheherazade, ang iyang name. Si Shahar, that is the king, and the queen Scheherazade. The girl who had innocent, which is iyang gipangasawa si King Shahar. That's why si King Shahar iyang giplano nga patyo niya si Queen Scheherazade every morning while natulog pa siya. Iyang plano nga patyon, pero the story is a collection of Middle Eastern, and this is a folk tales framing by Scheherazade's storytelling. Now, this cultural impact of this is spread across the Europe and Asia, inspiring fantasy and imaginations. Tales like Aladdin and also by Sinbad became a global icon. Now, this story emphasizes storytelling, that is the survival and cultural preservations, influencing narrative traditions and worldwide. Now, the story class, this is to the brave woman who survived na patyon siya sa ihang bana, na plano nga mupatay sa iya, pero wala siya napatay tungod kay iyang rason nganong wala siya namatay kay iyang tagaan og ganing story. Every night before sila mag-sleep, iyang tagaan og story si King Shahar, and pagkabuntag si Queen Scheherazade mo'y maunang kamata. That's why nakasurvive siya sa in 1001 Night. That would be all, and I hope all of you understand, and I hope all of you can learn what I discussed today. And that would be all. Thank you. And again, this is Rochelle Ilom, and bye-bye.